This is our demo account. So when you come in, this will obviously be blank because you haven't done campaigns. But as you start to sell more units, this will fill up. We have what we call scheduled units versus actual or total orders. So this is stating, we tried to sell 1,022 units in June, and we've sold 985, right? And that's because we're pushing the offer to our network, our deal network. And then, of course, not 100% of the buyers might not buy it, but we try to get as close to 100% as possible. This is all the feedback that comes in. So across any marketplace, you get feedback from our buyers. And so this is showing here. Well, I'll show you a better version of this. This is kind of like a dashboard summary of everything. We have keyword ranking also that shows here, and that's under analytics. And by the way, we have our senior developers working on what we call an API rebuild to really spice this up more. It definitely could use a facelift, but it's highly functional. We just need to kind of do a rebuild on the front end because we've done so much work on the back end and work over the years. So that new API should go live, fingers crossed, by the end of the year, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, so when you come in, the first thing you want to do is, I think we can do this, yeah. So you actually see these pop-ups and you can walk around and go through the different areas if you want to do that. And then also when you log in first, it will have an interactive demo that kind of holds your hand through the most important steps. So the most important steps are going to be importing a product, right? And so you would add a product here. I'm just going to pull up a random product on Amazon. You could do Walmart, you can do Etsy, Target. These are all platforms we auto scrape from. Otherwise, you can do other. So if it's like Chewy or another marketplace, you could just manually fill in all this information and it works the same. So import from Amazon. And so this is going and fetching all that information without an API integration. And so depending on how many variants there are, it might take a little bit longer. So you just got to keep that in mind. But usually it's within, I would say, 20 seconds, even if it has like 100 variants. So we can choose the variant, just kind of randomly chose that one. And then it's going to load all the images in there. And then we want to enter the sold by. For this one, it's Amazon. Looks like, okay, let's try that out. And then electronics, and then repeat buyers. So because there's going to be a discount component, we got to make sure that the buyers aren't going to abuse that. So we have this feature in here. So this is saying, for example, Vova can buy this once every 30 days, right? Just to spread the love, I guess, and not have repeat buyers. And then once you have all that done, go ahead and add products. And then the product will show here. I'll just show really quick. It's taking you to the launch because that's really the next step, but you can see it here under your products. And then you can click launch. These are the two different launches I talked about in the beginning. So promotional claim codes, it's going to use single or group claim codes for passing that essentially to the deal site, which I'll show in a second. Organic launch is going to have that cashback component on the feedback of the listing and the product itself. And so this is the most popular one. This is going to have, I always say this is a higher cost, but a much higher return. This is a lower cost, lower return. You're not going to have explosive sales, but you can have sales trickling in. And the cost is going to be lower. You're going to have higher margins, but it's not going to create this explosive type of growth. So generally, we see organic launch here. We're seeing a lot more promo launches because we are emphasizing using the tech as more of a longer term solution where you're just continually driving traffic and not necessarily creating an explosive launch. So I picked a weird one, a weird sold by. Let me see if this is a. The reason why it has to match it up is we have what's called an auto launch approval process. And if all of the product specifics line up, it will enable auto launch approval, which means you can launch instantly, essentially. And this sold by is a bit weird. So I don't know if I'll get it here, but so if you match this up, what you'll do is you'll be able to launch instantly. And most of the time it will all match up. So here's the ACOS component. So you can go low, you can go high, whatever you want. This is really going to be what you're offering for the buyer for that purchase, for that feedback on the listing and the post delivery. And so generally we see, I would say 70, 90, 100 is really highly desirable. This is for like niche products, maybe, like testosterone boosters. I always use that example, or like supplements that are difficult to move in higher quantities. But you can play around with this at any point during the launch. You can pause it and adjust this. And then push it live instantly. So we'll just do an
Hmm.
example here at 90.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a coupon on the listing itself, you could flip this on. So those little green coupons, right? You could, like, it was $5, and that will come out of the cost here. Let me just put a unit here just to kind of show you what that looks like. So the product cost would be 40 rather than 45. This product doesn't have a coupon, so I'm going to take it off. And then all
Mm-hmm.
the fees are transparent up here, so you can see what you're paying. True cost here, we wanted to really emphasize that you're getting the sale on the platform, and so the true cost is actually much lower. The campaign cost is going to be here, but of course you get, 49.95 sale on Amazon, for example, on this example. Okay, let's move forward. A lot of different types of launches you can do. Which one's my favorite? Yeah, I like the linear. So a lot of times you'll see the average campaign is about 15 days, and the average size is about 130 units. That was based on a comprehensive case study. So you could start here and then work your way up, right? So this is really popular, especially for new products. You kind of build up the sales velocity in an
Hmm.
organic way. And so this is going to release a certain number of units each day to the deal site. And then of course the buyers are either going to purchase them or they're not going to purchase them. So we're trying to get to 100%. And we have teams in place. We call it the STR boost team, the sell through rate boost team, that they'll try to share the deal if it's not hitting at 100%. They'll go to the network and say, hey, anybody interested in this? And we'll use email and other methods to kind of push the product. We also have this, of course, I have to upgrade on the Evergreen feature, where
Mm-hmm.
you can extend the launch for up to 50% of your initial units. So I'd be able to do 90 units, up to 10 per day, for really indefinitely at half the cost. And that's just to keep sales trickling in and not to stop it abruptly without it costing a lot of money. So that's a great feature, and that's on our paid plan
Mm-hmm.
once you upgrade to premium and enterprise. Two methods here. So organic is going to show the title and the image of the product so that they can find it, they can review the listing, give feedback on it. You can play around with this, choose whatever you want, probably your most relevant keywords that you can choose. Or if you want to do a direct link, you can do that. It's just going to default to direct link. Of course, this isn't going to help necessarily on a keyword or a micro level, but it's still going to drive sales. It's still going to help increase, sales velocity and ranking. Or you can put a different type of link in there, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's just whatever your strategy is, and your risk averse, and however comfortable you are. And it also differs with each marketplace, right? Each marketplace has their own set of rules. So whatever you're comfortable with, I would say most do the organic, but we also see a lot of different links that are being used as well. So we could use this as an example. And
So,
I'll show you what this looks like on the
mm,
deal side here in a second. It'll make sense. Mhm.
so for this part set, I mean, maybe sellers are they might think or in this point like about the. I think I've asked it before in a way like. Is it TOS compliant and all that? So, or it's just like anyone chooses their own level of risks they want to take across different marketplaces in with this, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it's the last piece. So every marketplace is different, and this is a full omni-channel solution. And
mm-hmm,
so really you're responsible for whatever level of risk you want to take. You can do a direct link. This is absolutely perfectly fine because you're just driving it directly to the product. But then some brands are going to be like, well, it's not as intentional. I'm not, and it's like, well, you can play with that level if you want. Again, we've done over 1 million orders without any issues. And so it's very hard to skirt around Amazon's terms when they're so ambiguous. And so we get this question more than I would like, to be honest,
I
but
understand.
it's a fair question. It's a fair question. And it's one of the bigger objections that we have to handle. But I would say whatever you're comfortable with, and know that we're looking out for your best interest. We're always doing everything possible to stay compliant, and we have a pretty good track record. So
I hear you, man. Well, thanks for sharing. Yeah.
Of
Okay. So
course,
from
yeah.
here, we have again the organic, so that people type in the
Hmm.
keywords and find the product, or link, which is straight direct link to the product. And you can
Hmm.
change the
You
structure
can
of the
choose
link as
whatever
well.
you want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it depends too in the marketplace. Again, we're seeing more and more omni. And
Mm-hmm.
so Walmart doesn't have the same type of policies that Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it really just depends on what marketplace you're on. For this, we could just do direct link. So we're going to
Mm-hmm.
drive the traffic directly there. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
fill out, I'll show you here in a second, the listing survey, and then
Mm-hmm.
they're going to buy the product, then do post delivery feedback on it. Okay, so wallets, a couple different things you can do. So when you set up a wallet, you can either do a credit card. That's going to do an auto reload at the end of every night just for the next day's campaigns. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to be cash flow neutral, I guess, where you're never spending more than your next day's sales, essentially. Or you can do an ACH, and we just pushed an auto ACH reload feature so that either you can do it manually, push a certain amount to your wallet, or the system will auto charge the ACH. And you can do a threshold where if it drops below a certain amount, it'll auto reload a certain amount. For example, if it drops below 5,000, we load 5,000. Yeah. So a lot of different things that you can do, but you just choose whatever wallet makes sense for you. And we also see agencies. We have a lot of agencies that use the tech. We do see them use the wallets for different brands. So it really just depends, whatever makes sense. And then this is I was messing with the sold by, but
Mm-hmm.
if you have the sold by correct
Mm-hmm.
here, it will do an auto launch. So when you get to that stage,
Mm-hmm.
it will show green, and then you can do submit launch, and it automatically goes to our deal site here. I'll show the Yeah, let me show the deal site now, and then I'll
Mm-hmm.
show what it looks like on the launch dashboard. So
Mm-hmm.
this is the deal site. We spend as much time on this. I think we're over 20 million now in cash back. So it's typical, we're trying to go in the direction of, I would say, Slick Deals or Rakuten. Ibotta is another one. There's a lot of these big deal sites, and that's kind of the direction we're looking to take, where we can help shoppers save money on everyday products for providing valuable feedback to sellers. The marketplace looks like this. So we have what we call deal coins, and they choose the product based on the ACoS that the seller is showing. If it's a desirable product that they want, they'll click on it. They can filter based on category or deal type and stuff like that. If you want the shower curtain, click on that. You can claim the deal. You can put it on wish list, so they can essentially get reminded if the deal comes back, or if it's out of stock. A lot of times, something might be sold out, and so they can wish list it. If we want to claim it, we click claim. So this is the process where they're getting to the product. So they can use the direct link like we showed on the setup, and then they're given essentially instructions like on how to follow, make sure the ID matches, right? We show the last 3 digits of the ASIN to ensure everything matches, and just say like, don't use subscribe and save, it's to whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
we just have instructions for them. And then this is the feedback that they're going to be sharing. So they're going to talk about their experience on the listing, and then they're going to be have to give feedback here. And we're actually building a feature very soon that will grade their feedback using AI, a prompt that we're going to create. And so they're going to get a certain grade, like an A, B, C, D, or F,
Mm-hmm.
their quality of their feedback. And so this is really going to make, I'll show you in a second, the dashboard really come to life in terms of the value that the buyers will be able to provide to the brands. Last step here is the order. So they're going to put in an order number. They're going to provide proof of purchase. And then at this point, they don't get any coins, right? So the emphasis is not on the actual purchase. That's important for compliancy. At this point, when they submit, this is when they get the coins. So once they receive the product, I think this comes up 7 days later, they're eligible to leave post delivery survey. And so they're going to rate their experience with the delivery, all these areas, explain why they gave it these ratings. And again, we're going to grade this. And then all that's going to be summarized and pushed back using AI. So for example, we had, I think, 190 units that we did in that demo launch. That means that up to 190 shoppers are going to go through this process, leave feedback on the listing, leave post delivery feedback, and we're going to grade the quality so we know that it's going to continuously improve. And then we're going to take AI and we're going to summarize all of that and present it to the seller. So this is now finishes that process.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the dashboard that the sellers see. So this looks familiar, right? This is scheduled versus actual. And then this is all the feedback that's coming through. So you have the summary here of the product listing, right? And it's really going to tell them how to improve the areas of their listing to improve the customer's experience. And then this is the post delivery. And again, it's going to be summarized and tell them how to improve that. If there's things like, oh, there were broken bottles, or maybe they received the wrong product and they need to do a bin check at Amazon, they can do that. But all of that feedback is going to be nicely summarized. And then all the feedback, they can also go through it all and they can export it too, download all the feedback and comb through it. And so that, really helps. A lot of these marketplaces, and I'm not going to name names, but they have put a really thick, veil between the seller and the brand, or I'm sorry, the brand and the customer.
Mhm.
And we want to kind of pull that back a little bit and say, well, the brands also need to have feedback. They need to have transparent communication
Hmm.
with the buyers to ensure that they're continuously improving their listing and their product. And so that's really what we're aiming for. And we know that in order to create explosive growth, you have to have that feedback sooner than later. And that's kind of what we're pushing for. And then you can see all the orders down here coming in. And so, yeah, that's really it. And then there's other features as well, orders, analytics. If we jump over to, yeah, this is the production. So you can see keyword tracking. This is just pretty generic keyword tracking tool where you see the different rankings of the keywords that comes up. This is a demo account, but this would, if this was your account, it would be, all filled in with the different rankings
Mhm.
of the different keywords. We have a keyword index checker as well. And we have a lot of great features in the pipeline that we're going to continue to push out. And everything is going to, again, focus on how to improve your sales, your listing, and quality of the product. And so that's about it.